Greg Smith.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I add my congratulations to you on your new role. It's a pleasure to follow the Honourable Member for Preston, and I equally congratulate all those who have made their maiden speeches in this debate, particularly joining with the Honourable Lady for East Thanet in paying tribute to Craig McKinley, who was a superb member of this House, and as he makes his transition from the bionic MP to the bionic peer, I think I speak for the whole House in wishing him well. On the subject matter of today, I want to be really clear from the outset that we absolutely have to decarbonise, we absolutely have to defossilise. The challenge laid down to our great innovators and scientific minds is enormous, and those great minds are rising to the challenge, from electricity generation to the fuels of the future. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, that's also why I am so frustrated at an approach to cleaner energy and cleaner fuel from government that just always seems to favour the first, but not necessarily best or most sustainable solutions for the future. So let me start with the controversial topic of solar. Since I was first elected in 2019, the threat of large-scale solar developments has caused significant concern for many of my constituents. Across my constituency and the parts of my former constituency now represented by others, field after field and farm after farm have already been blanketed by solar panels to the detriment of the surrounding community, food security, nature and landscape. Food security is national security. Yet before any of us who were elected on the 4th of July had even sworn in, the new Energy Secretary had signed off 6,000 acres of solar installation, later admitting in his statement a week after that a land use strategy was yet to come. We simply cannot have this language of community consent when the decisions that are then taken walk all over the views of those communities so badly affected. Smaller, standalone solar is less impactful, quicker and easier to install, does not risk damaging the local infrastructure, and provides an additional reliable source of income for many struggling farmers. But it's not just the panels which consume vast amount of our countryside. The infrastructure needed to carry the electricity generated through the grid swallows up yet more. It is no coincidence that adjacent to the proposed Rosefield site in my constituency, a battery storage facility is being put forward as well, and then the ultimate manifestation of the tail wagging the dog, National Grid have come along and proposed another huge land take to essentially rebuild the East Claydon substation next door. So let that be a warning to any community where solar is coming. It does not end with the panels. Solar has its place, but that is on our rooftops and not our fields. The wonderful charity CPRE has had research that found that there is a potential for 117 gigawatts of renewable energy to be generated from rooftops and other existing developed spaces in England. We should be prioritising that and not losing our agricultural land. My solution has always been to propose nuclear as the option, to look at small modular reactors. It is a statistic I've given in this House before, but I will give it again. You need around 2,000 acres of solar panels to generate enough electricity on current usage before everybody's got 2 Teslas on the drive for 50,000 homes. By contrast, just 2 football pitches are required for a small modular reactor that will power, on current usage again, 1 million homes. I fail to see how anyone can look at those 2 competing land uses and choose solar over the small modular reactor. It is simply not a good use of land to turn our farms into solar. But to move on to another clean energy that I'm particularly passionate about, Madam Deputy Speaker, away from electricity generation to the future of fuel. The United Kingdom is already an international powerhouse in the field of synthetic and sustainable fuel, with companies like Zero Petroleum innovating right here, and international companies like P1 Fuels making huge investments in bringing manufacturing of fossil-free fuel to the United Kingdom. There's a straightforward fact. There are 1.4 billion internal combustion engine vehicles on the road worldwide. That's before you start counting agricultural and construction vehicles, planes and ships and so on. They're simply not all going to convert to electric, as some argue that they should. Green hydrogen, mixed with atmospheric carbon capture, makes a wholly man-made liquid hydrocarbon that just works in everything we already have. Over a century's refinement on those engines, and this clean fuel will just work in it.
On this point of synthetic fuels, isn't it also the case that for several types of vehicle, for example, incredibly heavy vehicles or the ones who have to travel incredibly long distances, actually there is no battery option? Actually, the synthetic fuel as an alternative is exactly the way we need to go.
I'm grateful to my right honourable friend for that intervention. He is absolutely right. Certainly for the heavier application vehicles, batteries just wouldn't work. I saw a diagram at one of these companies that shows if you were to try and make a 747 fly on batteries, the batteries would be bigger than the plane. Therefore, it is not a viable option to go forward. These synthetic fuels, entirely man-made, there is no need to grow food to burn, or recycle old chip fat, or the raw earth mineral mining for batteries, just clean synthetics. And so my ask to the government in this debate, as they look to a clean energy future, and that is the right ambition, where we disagree is how you get there, is to truly embrace and to make mainstream synthetic fuels. They need to be scaled, and in order to be scaled, the manufacturers need the confidence that the government will indeed permit it. And the important point there to finish on is that the carbon at tailpipe, when these fuels are burned, is the same volume that is then recaptured to make the next lot of fuel. They are net zero. It is one volume of carbon in a perpetual circle. So my ask to the Minister today, who I congratulate on his appointment, is to take the message back to the department that we need to embrace these synthetic fuels for part of that clean energy revolution that he claims at that dispatch box to want to see.